Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Recently, a subscriber left a comment saying that I should talk about the Castorice situation. This involves talking about leaks. Even if you don't usually follow leaks like me, I think it's beneficial for everyone to hear about what's been happening. But I respect everyone who don't really want to listen to leaks, so if that's you, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. With that out of the way, let's dive right into it. The TLDR of the situation is that Castorice is releasing alongside something called a global passive. Global passives of characters provide passive buffs to your entire account just by you pulling on them. The pulled character does not need to be part of your active team in order for the buffs to take effect. They just need to exist on your account. In Castorice's case, her global passive is not that impressive. It is a conditional revive that won't do too much if you're not already running a sustain. However, we all know that the potency of her global passive doesn't really matter in this context. Global passives themselves set a terrible precedent, and that's the problem. And a lot of content creators have been making videos about how this is bad. But I'm not here to just repeat what everyone else has been saying. I'm here because I have a theory, a game theory, on why Hoyoverse is doing this and the fact that global passives are here to stay. It is my assertion that this is all connected to buffing of older units. What? What does that even have to do with anything, you may ask? Don't worry, we will get there. But first, let's talk about the state of Honkai Star Rail and the fact that it's not doing so hot, despite the global revenue saying otherwise. Honkai Star Rail's revenue has been decreasing significantly in China. The decrease is estimated to be about 50%, half of what it used to be. This is notable as other regions such as Japan, Korea, and the US have not suffered such a drastic cut in their revenue. It is my educated guess that 3.0 Developer Radio, which promises buffing older characters, was a reaction to the rapidly decreasing revenue in the Chinese server. If you're interested, I talk more about the Developer Radio in the video I'll link in the top right-hand corner. In that video, I mentioned that I am excited about the buffs, but I'll have to wait and see how Hoyoverse actually facilitates and implements these buffs, because it could be either very good or catastrophically bad. Ladies, gentlemen, and all my non-binary friends, with global passives in the game, we are definitely in the catastrophically bad timeline. Hoyoverse first mentions that they will directly buff older characters, and a couple patches later, they now come up with a brand new mechanic which provides a buff to your entire account for just having a character? I wonder how that would affect non-meta characters that basically have no place in the meta team compositions and are permanently benched. Wouldn't it be just convenient if Hoyoverse could just breathe in new life into these outdated benched characters without changing their kits significantly? Look, V2 is here. Hoyoverse has even developed an in-game window to check for all of your account's global passives. And the next few characters will have them too. It is overwhelmingly evident that global passives are here to stay, and I believe that Hoyoverse is laying the foundation for retroactively buffing older units with them, instead of completely reworking the kits of older units so that they can compete with meta characters. My theory, a game theory, is that Hoyoverse will probably give them a minor multiplier buff, but a powerful global passive to compensate for it. Sure, older players who already have these outdated characters will benefit the most from this change. Additionally, this will incentivize new players to pull for reruns of a character even if their kits are lackluster. It all sounds good on paper, but in practice, these measures fail to actually address any of the core problems that I have with the game. When us, the players, said that we want to be able to use our outdated favorites in the end game, we did not mean that we wanted them to provide a powerful global passive so that the active team composition, which probably excludes the very same character that I love, by the way, hits harder. Even if my favorite characters get a global passive, does it really change my gameplay experience if they're going to be benched anyway and the active team is utilizing the global passive? When we said players need a reason to pull for a rerun character, we didn't mean that we wanted you to turn these characters into a global passive mule. When we said players need a reason to pull for a new character that isn't powerful in battle, we didn't mean that you should add global passives to force us to pull for them. When we said we want power creep to slow down and that the developers should stop releasing back-to-back broken characters, we didn't mean that we wanted you to stagger the release of characters that either have a killer global passive or a busted in-game combat abilities. But as always, Hoyoverse is not listening, and I'm afraid that this is what we're getting. Hoyoverse barely doing anything to fix an outdated unit and just haphazardly slapping on a broken global passive. Hoyoverse alternating between releasing a weak character but with a formidable global passive versus releasing a broken character with subpar global passive, which results in a situation where you just have to literally pull for every single character. Again, it is all my speculation at this point, so I really hope I'm wrong, but my gut feelings say otherwise. It's much easier to slap on a 50% resistance shred global passive on Silverwolf and call it a day than actually rework her entire kit so that she feels competitive. Hoyoverse is going to take the path of least resistance and most money. Allegedly. Allegedly. Supposedly. So, that's it. That's my theory. A game theory. I hope y'all can see where I am coming from. And lastly, I wrote a whole rant complaining about power creep and how global passives don't really fix the power creep issue, and that power creep itself is one part of the puzzle and you need to focus on solving the other part of the puzzle that's making the entire thing worse, blah blah blah. So if you're interested, keep watching. But as for the theory part, yeah, this is the end of the theory. Howeverse, this is not how you solve your power creep issue. Power creep in your game is bad. It opts to just increase the enemy HP to make the content harder, rather than creating an intricate boss battle where you need to exploit the enemy weakness. It also doesn't help the fact that endgame buffs are tragically favorable towards the on-banner character. As it stands, meta is the biggest contributing factor for players to pull, and therefore subsequently released characters have to be more outlandishly powerful to incentivize players to pull. Voila, we have power creep. That's the surface level conversation, so let's dive in deeper. I want to focus on what external factors are making power creep worse. Honkai Star Rail is a game that does not provide players other avenues of quote-unquote spending time with the characters you pulled. Open world gacha games like Wuthering Waves and Genshin allow players to use their favorite character in the overworld to farm for materials, to explore the world, or just to hang with friends while playing co-op. There are actual non-meta reasons to pull for a character in these games. On the other hand, let me ask you this rhetorical question. What do players do with the characters that they pulled for other than building them and using them in endgame? Nothing. Most people just auto-farm materials, read the story, and use the meta characters in the endgame. Sure, power creep is brought up again and again because it is an issue on its own, but I think what consistently fuels the discussion is the fact that your favorites not being meta doesn't just symbolize them falling off in the mechanical sense, but your ability to spend time with them. Acheron mains smashing their computer screens because she dropped down a tier seems extreme at first, but again, considering that there's literally nothing else to do in this game other than the endgame and story, their reaction isn't surprising. In order for Honkai Star Rail to break the vicious cycle of unsustainable power creep, you, the developers, need to foster an environment where the majority of the players, out of their own volition, pull for non-meta reasons. Here are some examples on how you can foster that sort of environment. Number 1. First and foremost, the game should release less characters so that each one of them can get sufficient screen time to flesh out their backstories. Many people will pull for non-meta characters as long as they are attached to them. Stop doing useless events focused around NPCs. Instead, involve playable characters in these event stories. And also, please focus on quality, not quantity. People are sick and tired of reading through slop. We don't just want more stories focused around characters that we care about. We want quality stories. Number 2, frequently release short side stories involving bunch of playable characters. A few of these stories should trigger without pulling for them. So players, they get to experience what the character is like outside the context of whatever main story that is happening. More stories should be unlockable after pulling for that said character and maybe achieving some sort of friendship level. Maybe these side stories or quests can be time sensitive. Lunar New Year, only during the winter, only during the summer, etc. to make it feel like you're spending time with them and they are existing in the world with you. I mean, I would be ecstatic if Jing Yuan asked me to visit him in Zanzhou Laofu during Lunar New Year and we got to talk about what our aspirations are for the upcoming year. Grand Blue Fantasy does a similar thing and I always appreciated it. By the way, these need to be fully voiced and have some animations and cutscenes. Nothing too fancy, okay? Just enough to not put me to sleep. Overall, this would actually incentivize people to pull for their favorite characters because not having them would mean you miss out on these events. Number 3, make it so that the character you just pulled explains how you can use them. It would be a permanently available, in-depth, voiced tutorial where the character explains their own kit. For instance, Jing Yuan would explain how to raise the Lightning Lord stacks. It would also give these characters a chance to talk about their fighting style. Like, sure, Lightning Lord being slow and it being critically weak to CC made me mauled like crazy, but it would be incredible to hear what Jing Yuan thinks about that, right? Yeah, Jing Yuan, what do you think about your clunky ass kit, huh? The trials that we have right now that are supposed to showcase each character's abilities are really bad. Because when you enter, you get greeted with a wall of text explaining their kit. No one's gonna read that. I promise you, I don't read that. If trials are changed to what I propose, an in-depth tutorial facilitated by the character that you pulled, I think it would greatly benefit the player experience. Let's, for the sake of this argument, say that this was implemented into the game. Okay? I am now pulling for Jing Yuan. Here goes nothing. 10 pull. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. I lose the 50-50 to Clara. Wow. I cry. I come back and continue pulling. Now I have Jing Yuan. Yay. And now that I've pulled Jing Yuan, a quest pops up on my screen and Jing Yuan is requesting that I come and see him. I go see him. He's like, hey, do you have some time? And I say, yes. We get together, we're hanging around, and some trash mobs attack us. And then so we get into this tutorial battle where Jing Yuan is explaining how to use his kit. He tells me that I need to use his skill and ultimate to increase his Lightning Lord stacks. So I do that. Yay. He compliments me for increasing the Lightning Lord stacks. Great, I feel awesome. Then he gets CC'd and he asks that I cleanse his debuff so that he's no longer CC'd. But I am stupid, so I totally forget to do this. And Jing Yuan is like, my friend, you must heal my CC, otherwise I won't be able to attack. And after hearing that, I heal him and he compliments me. Thank you, my friend. Or whatever. If this sort of tutorial actually existed, I think it would be so engaging for me because I love him so much. And the fact that he's teaching me how to use his own kit in game and also he reacts to what I am doing incredible. Also, I want to highlight that this needs to be voiced completely. It cannot be just some text that pops up every time you do something. I think this is completely doable and plausible. Hoyoverse does a similar thing during the live streams anyway. Bunch of characters gather around and yap about the kit of the character that they're talking about. So I don't think this implementation is going to be that difficult. Though, I would want more in-depth explanation than what is showcased in the live streams. Number 4. Have lore significant challenge battles only available to certain characters which require understanding of their kits and some of the story significant boss battle gimmicks. For instance, in Jinyuan's case, we can have a challenge battle where he fights Fentalia or maybe Hule-possessed Fei Xiao. Clearing this should give a trophy and profile decoration and also additional battle lines. Furthermore, I think it would be way better if winning these challenging battles granted a new passive or traces rather than the whole global passive shenanigans. However, I like this game. I want to love this game as I did before, and there are so many things that you could do to make it better. Not even just the ones that I've listed here. So please, I really hope that you really listen to the players because a lot of us are considering quitting the game outright. And I'm one of them. And I've spent money on the game. Too much money, if I'm being honest. God, please do not ask me how much money I spent on this game. Anyways, that's the end of my rant. Ha ha ha. Some might say that my suggestions are way too much work for Hoyoverse, but I disagree. They are a multi-billion dollar company, so they have enough resources to do whatever they want, okay? Some might say that this is busy work, but I disagree. This is not busy work. Spending time with your favorite characters with a purpose is not busy work. You're not farming for things. You're just spending time with them. If you think my suggestions are just busy work, you don't like the character. Besides, I think everything that I suggested should not give you any jades for completing them. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my first theory, a game theory video. Stay hydrated and eat something healthy. Love y'all, okay? Take care of yourself. Bye. And see you in the next one.